Alrighty, folks, back again. Still Steven J, still with Strong Dogs. And I'm actually doing this one on the blog that I wrote a few days ago that is now up on the Strong Dogs website. That's strongdogsusa.com. I'm curious to see how this video goes because Arya's in her crate right over there. And normally if I talk for too long, she ends up getting riled up. Or if she sees the kickstand here for the tripod, she usually thinks we're going to go outside and go party. So I'm curious to see how she does. So anyways, without further ado, this one was about the blog that I wrote, which was the 4 big lessons that I'm working on. I'll rephrase this. I'll just read the fucking title rather than being all clever. The 4 big lessons I'm doing differently with Arya and why it matters. So throughout this whole process, if you read the video when I got Arya and the blog that I got Arya, you'll know some changes happened and had a lot of downtime for do some pontification and some reflection on things that I did and did right and wrong with Ace and Ava. And so when I started with hers from ground zero, so wanted to reanalyze and be objective about things I wanted to do better, differently, or keep. So with this one, here were the 4 big points that I covered in that blog, and 4 biggest things that I think will help me even be better for Arya and help Arya succeed even better. So number 1, which is what she's doing right now, which is more focus on calm energy before action mostly. And yes, I am going straight off of the blog, so bear with me. I might throw a few tidbits in there. I might miss a few things as I'm doing this. So there you go. You can read it, the long one, or just listen to this. But yeah, number 1 was focusing more on her calm energy before anything, mostly. Mostly being when I want her calm, I'm going to do everything I can to keep her calm. Except when I want her to amp up and get, some of her swag going is when I'm going to really encourage that. So to be more specific, when we are training, I want her amped up. I want her moving fast. I want her moving quick. I want her drives up. I want her the highest prey drive she can muster at that time, which is usually she's very food driven right now. Obviously, she's a puppy. She's starving. Plus, she had a ringworm in her stomach. So naturally, she was even more hungry because I had that fucking worm eating half of her food. So, but luckily, we went to the vet and got that straight. So when we are in training, I want her amped up, focus on the food, meaning she's going to really want to go after it. And this is what's going to get some of the best luring possible. The flip side is when I want her calm, I'm going to do everything to keep her calm, just put on gently, tell her that she's doing a great job. You're doing a great job. For instance, the crate, I got very, very lucky with her in the crate. She, just like puppiness, when she gets amped up a little bit, or now that she's really bonded to me, she'll go ahead and bark if, she hears something. That's one of the benefits, con and pro, of being in an apartment, is you hear a bunch of noises, a bunch of smells, things I can't even hear and smell. I can't even smell anyway, but definitely can't hear. And she's got, 10x hearing on me. So she can occasionally bark at something, but for the most part, she's really good in the crate. So I am going to go ahead and encourage that by go ahead and hand feeding her in the crate when she's doing a great job, when she's calmed down. If she amps up, I walk away, I ignore her, shutting that shit down as fast as I can, because being an amped up dog in a crate barking is annoying, and I just don't like it. I don't care for it. I don't want to deal with it. Ava was a nuisance, and maybe that's my PTSD. It was extremely hard for her to relax and settle in the crate. So the fact that Arya is really good right now, I'm just furthering encouraging that behavior by going ahead and hand feeding her, telling her she's doing a good job. When she gets amped up, if I come home from work or just out and about and she gets amped up, don't even look at her, don't even walk over to her until she slowly calms down. And then when she really calms down, I'll let her out. If she picks it up back up, or she starts leaking is that high-pitched squealing, I'll just go ahead and turn around. So totally indifferent to her. And no matter what she's doing, she's not going to get my attention. My attention is her reward. I'm not going to reward her and further that behavior, especially when I don't want it. So again, going back to the title, the calm energy, when I want it, I'm going to encourage it. Another example would be other dogs. So if she sees other dogs out there, either we're just going to keep walking, or at certain times, because it is good to do both, not just walk and ignore them, but to also sit and just pet her. So when she's good, she doesn't need a break. She doesn't need to lunge at him. She doesn't need to get amped up. That was Ace. He was good at sitting, but he would also leak very loudly and very rapidly when he saw another dog because he wanted to play with him. Aria, again, right now I'm saying she's got both worlds. She's got the drive of Ava, but also the temperament of Ace. So the good things, really encouraging, rewarding. And then when the switch happens, when I do want to bring that more primal, energy, vicious, animalistic behavior out, especially when we start doing the ball, food, things like that, that's when it's time for her to really release all that extra energy, pimped up energy that she has. Okay? Number 2, mistakes will happen. In fact, they are required from both of us. That's the only way we learn. And I think I actually quoted Batman. From Batman Begins, actually, it'd be Bruce's father or Alfred, which the quote is, "Why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up." So true. I'm going to fuck up with luring. You see it in my videos all the time. I'm dropping treats left and right. She messes up. We both mess up because of sloppy luring, and now you can probably hear her because now she just wants to bite her pillow. So the biggest thing is not taking it personally. Just accept it and move on. Don't get hung up on it. Don't let it ruin the session. I'm very tough like that because I feel like every session needs to be perfect. It doesn't, which is one of the reasons why I started capping the sessions in time, because if you saw that last video this morning or the day before, rather than doing 8, 9, 10 minutes, bringing it down to 4, 5, 6 minutes just to get more out of it before she loses interest. And usually, again, when you go for extended periods of time is when they lose interest and also make more mistakes. So to prevent that, just go ahead and shorten the lesson. But other than that, shit happens. We both have bad days. Take what you can, make the best of it, move on. So that one's kind of short. Change number 3, building relationship before obedience. I've never seen The Office, but I know this quote from The Office, which was, "Would you rather be feared or loved?" Easy. I want people to fear how much they love me. Michael Scott or Steve Carell. I think that was just a perfect quote to intertwine this paragraph with a dog. My dog, me and my dog, Aria. Because when you have a symbiotic working relationship, there's nothing better. She's going to want to perform. I'm going to want to perform. And the obedience and all that stuff comes second nature. You know or seen or could tell trying to do some of the stuff Nino does just because he's taken luring and obedience to magical utopia levels, to one I would just love to get to. But the underlying message of what the dog is doing and why and doing it for you is above all the greatest message that he could say. When they're, I don't want to say respect, but it's another word. When they're, this is going to take a long minute because I can't figure out the word that I want to say. When they want to please you, or I don't want to say service. You know what the fuck I'm trying to say. I don't have time for this. When they want to do it for you because they love it, they love you, and you're going to reward them, it's all the much better. Rather than them forcing them to do something, is you're not going to get the same finished product. I've seen it a lot at various camps, videos where you could tell that dog was basically beaten into submission in order to get the end product. Okay, so I'd rather have a good solid relationship where we're working together, where this is play for both of us rather than a chore. Okay. And yes, obedience, I wrote it here, it caught myself, but obedience is a skill. It can be trained, can be refined, it can be sharpened, but a relationship, that's what bridges it all together to get you to where you want, where it keeps you connected, it keeps you them from going off script, meaning them fucking up or not paying attention to you when they ought to be. But that relationship, that bond, you got to be able to train both. And by doing the bonding first through the obedience is the perfect way to do it, rather than meaning my ego has to be on the back burner. My ego, my self-serving ego would be, yes, to make these videos to make money, to compete her. All these things are very self-serving. But if I forget about that and just focus on, the process, which again, I'm horrible about, because how my mind works is always the end product, and I work my way backwards. So I don't have to enjoy the process. I want to, because this is what I want to do. But sometimes I would forget about the enjoyment just to get to that finished product. And that's no way to go about anything, especially as a human or for your dog. So again, that will lead us into number 4, which is a great segue, which is the dangers of comparing your dog to others and the power of patience. As I just said, I am awful when it comes to patience. I don't have any. So first 2 weeks with her taught me that patience was huge, and I forgot how much work a puppy is. So to go from, just doing my thing to now her takes a lot of patience. Okay. She's not going to get everything. In fact, today, even though I shot this right now, the day I shot this today, she pissed in the house. First time ever in the 2.5 weeks that I've had her, she pissed in the house. Again, I didn't get mad. It was like one of those things, are you fucking kidding me, girl? You were literally outside. You took a shit and you were out there, then you're running around like a banshee. It's hot, so gave me the sign to come back in. You run around here, jumping all over the thing, couches, your place, chairs, and then whatever, then you just come over and then you look at me and then you take a piss. I'm like, seriously? So again, the patience not to get angry or upset is actually, something I had to work on. When she ran over and she knocked over water, because it let her off the leash, she came in. This is a separate day. She came in, bashed right into the water jug that I have over there, and got water over the place. Again, it's a puppy. You got to have patience, and you got to have patience for building these skills like the obedience. So again, when you're starting to compare your dog, it's going to bleed into you not having the patience in order to keep going on the right track for your own dog. I had again, my shit's always unedited and transparent. Said the other day, had a horrible session at night for her PM session out here on the balcony. For whatever reason, she did not want to go after the food. She wasn't interested. When she did, it was sloppy. Durations weren't as long. Reps were very low. Precision was way off. Speed was lackluster, or not even there, basically non-existent. And I started comparing my dog to other people's dogs. I'm like, she is almost 4 months old now. I had her when she was just over 3 months, so she's almost 4 now. So, and I see other people's who are almost doing things without a lure, or a very lure that's very high away from them. So say like a focus heel, rather than having the treat right above their nose where we're still reaching to get, they're way up here and got space and they're not jumping or lunging. So I'm starting to compare them, and I had to catch myself. It was like, okay, look, it was a bad training session. That doesn't mean she's a bad dog. Doesn't mean I'm a bad handler. It was just an off day for whatever reason. And I had to catch myself to not compare, or I should say, go down that rabbit hole of comparison, because it's not going to serve her well. It's not going to serve me well. Now, 20 minutes later, we go out for a walk, brought some treats, just in case she does something good. Decided to do a little healing in between the legs, sits down, and next thing you know, she was on fire and on point, and I'm like, what the fuck was the difference? I don't know. But maybe it was just the energy that I was giving off to her and she was giving off to me, and it was just, mudded. So, things are going to happen, but don't compare your dog. You're doing them a disservice. You're going to do yourself a disservice. You're going to get depressed. You're going to get upset, and that is just going to bleed into further training sessions, which is going to put you further behind the 8 ball of where you want to go. So when that happens, I'm just going to have to catch myself, let it be, just think of it like a golf shot. Next, focus on the next shot. Next, take the wins away from that lesson, keep it going. If you're objective and you're thinking about what the things you could have worked on better in that lesson, do it, but don't hang on to it. Just improve on it for the next day. But that is it. Those are the big 4 things that I'm working on with her and myself, so we can have a good relationship and hopefully take her and Strong Dogs to the next level. So if you haven't already, you can go ahead and check out the website, www.strongdogsusa.com. If you got questions, go ahead and email them to me there, stevenj@strongdogsusa.com, and help a brother out and go ahead and hit subscribe so you can keep watching all the training videos and her progressions and mine throughout months and years. All right, cool. Good luck. Keep training your dog.